Dude, I'm loving the JR background or the
I think
LeBron.
I cut him out, and this technically I am JR is how we're gonna do this.
I love it. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Yeah.
Just stay down there like that.
Yeah.
Do the whole show like that.
I was gonna do a
Beautiful.
Kyrie thing for you, Jack, but I couldn't find anything, so I'll leave that to you for next week.
Kyrie sucks.
Okay.
Oh, we're recording.
We're
Shit.
recording.
Kyrie is a great team player
Man,
and Michigan well.
what are you sipping on there, buddy?
1792.
Oh wow,
It's, you know,
that was a tall pour.
well, I gotta make it last the whole show. 30
Right.
minutes. Zach, what did you say you drank? Like-
on the
like-
last show, I said I drink cold alcohol.
You
Yeah,
did.
but yeah, which I don't even know what that
The
means.
bar is like
I mean, let's see. I drink some beers, mainly like white wine, and I like rum a lot. Rum and tequila are probably my go-tos. But yeah, like I don't like red wine, and I can't drink dude, I can't do like a warm shot. Like I can't have like a warm shot of tequila.
Yeah, I feel that.
Like, I couldn't drink bourbon neat.
Maggie has a strict Burnett's diet.
Yeah, I imagine.
I've grown up a lot. I've grown up a lot since then,
To
Jack.
what, Tito's?
Yes. Nothing wrong with Tito's.
He got his KFC shirt on. He's ready to go. You're plugging the wrong company, actually.
Yeah, what the hell?
I'm plugging the future employee. Duh.
Oh,
Sheesh.
oh wow.
Sheesh.
All right. We'll go ahead and start us off then, since you've got the show for the future.
3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, we're back. I know you missed us. It's Maggie Davis, Zack Gagan, and Jack Pilgrim with a new episode of The Macks. That's our name. We're going with it until further notice. How are you guys doing?
Sure. I love the way you just described that. It was just quick, concise, perfect. It's beautiful.
Perfect.
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. It's been kind of a weird day, I think. Like there's been a lot of sort of sad news come out or disappointing news, whatever. I'm feeling weird about coronavirus and sports, and I'm just ready to talk with you all and hopefully have a good little time just catching up. Hope we can be positive Macks today.
It's gonna be a great day.
Zach, explain your setup right here.
Trying to get it to focus on me here. Is it on me?
Yes.
Yeah, you look good. Okay.
So I am.
Your left head's this left side of your head's kind of shaking, but it looked good. You look good.
Yeah, I need an actual green screen, so I can just set up my whole room. Since I don't have an actual office yet, I'm gonna do this for now.
Okay, that looks beautiful.
But it's kind of uncomfortable, so I'm gonna sit up here, and I expect you all to do something similar next time.
Okay.
You have set the bar pretty high. You set the bar pretty high, but I think we can match. We can match.
Yeah. Good luck.
Well, I say we should start off with the biggest news of the day / week, etc. The UK basketball team is back on campus, guys. They started moving in a little bit over the weekend, starting to finalize their dorm rooms and all that stuff. On Monday and Tuesday, we saw a lot of pictures from the team. How excited are you to see the team back in Lexington?
Oh, I'm absolutely thrilled. Zach, you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Do go for it. I'm just excited.
That's how I feel. You know, just this was something that was about like a month and a half in the making. They kind of set this late June plan behind the scenes. They told the parents, I think mid-May, that was their tentative goal, and for them to follow through with that to a T. I mean, they set an exact date, the week of June 22nd. They ended up going the Sunday of, so they finished on time. They got all moved in. I talked to a bunch of the parents. They said things went smooth. No hiccups, no, oh shoot, this, I don't feel safe, I don't feel comfortable. Everything went according to plan. They're all moved in. I think these next 3 or 4 days, it's going to be 100% dedicated to just quarantining, staying in their rooms, playing video games until they, kind of have this little 72-hour, quarantine process before finally getting into basketball activities to close out the week. And that, I'm telling you, the first video that I see that UK puts out of BJ Boston shooting threes in his Kentucky uniform for the first time, I'm just absolutely thrilled. I'm very excited for it.
I think
Are they
the
all
best thing to come out of move-in were some of the pictures of the players with their moms, and I think the biggest thing to talk about is Cameron Fletcher's bedding. It was like head to toe UK logos, bright blue. He has like a little floor mat like next to the bed. Like I don't know why really. It's not like it's like a front door. You have to like wipe your shoes. Like I don't know what that's there for, but it's just one more UK logo in his room, and I'm here for it.
Maybe he likes sleeping with his shoes on. Is that a thing? He likes just wiping his shoes off before getting in bed. Is that like a thing? I don't know.
Maybe it's for his dog.
Oh, that's a good theory right there.
Or a wildcat.
That was fun. I was glad to see them all back.
Is it also at the Coal Lodge, Jack?
Yep, they're across the street. Their goal is to maintain their own little bubble from 100 yards away. They're going to be in the lodge or on the basketball floor of the Joe Kraft Center. There's no leaving, no nothing.
Well, so
they've been in.
The thing with the lodge, isn't it like that they have to have normal UK students stay there too?
I think they got rid of that this year.
Oh, did they? I don't. But either way, students aren't on campus yet until late August, or mid-August. So,
you think they're going to incorporate the students back into that? That seems like a potentially bad idea.
I think it'll sort of depend.
That's too far ahead to think.
UK could make a lot of changes to their dorms in general this year if they're trying to do more social distancing and try to limit the number of people in the buildings like that anyway. I don't know. And if they need to just keep, the general population of students out of that dorm, I think that would be okay for this year. I mean, the rules don't really apply anymore, right? Like there are no rules. There is no time. Like nothing's real.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So I do have a question for you guys. I have my weekly show. I ramble on about UK basketball nonstop. That's, I do that every single week, but I haven't gotten the chance to hear from you guys of what you think of this upcoming team. We haven't talked about specific players we're looking out for, or, if you guys have any early favorite players or who you think is going to be a breakout guy. So I want you guys to kind of tell me what is your scouting report of this team? Who do you think is going to be, the potential underrated MVP of the team? Who's going to be the superstar? Who's going to be a guy that, that you guys are personally going to like a whole lot as a fan favorite? Is there, I want you guys to tell me what you think of this team.
I'm kind of letting us go on a sources say conversation here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, I'm going to go kind of, I guess, a generic answer, but I'm really looking forward to Keon Brooks because I didn't realize until I started watching videos like from especially his Florida highlights that Keon Brooks was actually like really good. And I guess I didn't really realize it until I started watching all the old plays. I mean, maybe, they just highlight all this good stuff, so it's easier to see. But from what I've seen over the summer, he slimmed down a lot too. So if he's in better shape, and I think he'll be ready.
Am I wrong about this? Didn't Keon Brooks end the Florida game with like a really good basket? Didn't he end the season?
That was EJ Montgomery, right?
Well, UK went at him. He scored once, and then Coach Cal went back at him for that game-winning try, and the shot rimmed out, and EJ tipped it back in. But
if that had gone in from him, the same thing happened in the Louisville game. And so those are two huge shots that I feel like were this close to being like real difference makers and really memorable. And especially for him, who wasn't like the star of last year's team, could have been a really big deal. And I think now that it's, been a whole extra year, like Zack said, he's slimmed down a little bit. He's going to be more comfortable. He's used to sort of the grind of everyday collegiate basketball. I think those two like quick examples of good shots that were so close last year, I think those could go in this year. And I'm also really excited to see BJ Boston.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, BJ Boston has the potential to be a legitimate top 5 pick. I mean, he's one of those guys that his shot is just absolutely beautiful. He's like a true 6'7". So he's one of those. He's going to be huge as a shooting guard. He's NBA ready from day one. He's going to be a guy that fans are going to be really excited for. obviously there's Olivier Sarr, his waiver quest. That's going to be, that's a make or break thing for this team. You look at the Devin Askews of the world. There's so many intriguing pieces of this roster that I'm just giddy about. I'm very excited to see just kind of how it all unfolds. Step one is getting Olivier Sarr eligible, and then from there, sky's the limit.
I'm also really excited for hopefully the return of a bromance between BJ Boston and Terrence Clark. I feel like with the amount of time that they've spent together during the summer and throughout all of quarantine, like traveling and practicing and playing and working out together so much, I feel like they're going to come in pretty tight, and I hope they stay that way. We haven't had a great bromance since like Tyler Eulis and Devin Booker maybe. Like, it's been a while, and I think that's something the BBN really likes to see too. I mean, so much of the draw of collegiate basketball is their personalities off the court too, and how much the fans end up liking them by the end of the season. So I hope that those two, really hit it off as friends and are hanging out and doing funny stuff and letting the BBN really see their personalities. And I think they'd be a good bromance.
Well, they've been living together for the last 2 months, 3 months, so they already have the brotherhood going, so to speak. I'm not going to include that because of Duke purposes. I hate to use that brotherhood word, but if there is one, that's definitely one they have. And they both have that, like, those superstar personalities, with him being at Sierra Canyon, being alongside Bronny James and those guys. Terrence Clark has been a high school superstar for the last 4 years. So both of them have that larger than life personality that they would mesh well together for this bromance that you're speaking of.
I love it. That's just more fuel on the fire. I love it. That's perfect.
Is it a hot take to say that Terrence Clark is going to be better than BJ Boston?
Definitely. Give me why do you think that? Because there's some people that kind of feel that Terrence Clark is NBA ready today, body, all that. But I want to hear you're a basketball expert. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, an expert, sure.
Expert.
I think the athleticism is really, because I'm a guy that I think you can go to the league just purely based on your physical tools. I think he can already do that. And I just remember from watching him at the EYBL whenever we had the privilege to do that type of stuff a year ago. When I was watching BJ Boston and Terrence Clark was always the guy that stood out to me. I know that BJ's kind of gotten his shot better, but Terrence Clark could do everything. And I think he always stood out to me because of he always had, he was, the typical he was a fiery player. Like, he always had high energy and stuff like that. He's just a guy that I think will not do poorly. I don't think he has I don't think he knows how to do poorly. So that alone, I think, can make him a better prospect. I mean, if BJ Boston ends up being a better player, we're probably going to be a better team. But I think Clark just right now, he's your guy.
Terrence Clark is also a true 6'7". They're both true 6'7" players, and you factor in Devin Askew, who's a strong 6'4" right now. I mean, you think back to that 2014-15 team in terms of, the Harrison twins were 6'5", 6'6", both of them, and that whole starting unit was just, Trey Lyles was 6'8", something like that. So when you look at the size, the sheer size of that team, you're starting to kind of get that same, massive guards. Isaiah Jackson potentially being that 4, or Keon Brooks being a true 6'8", 6'9" level guy, and then Olivier Sarr being a true 7 foot guy. I mean, this is a long, deep, super athletic. I mean, from top to bottom, they have size, they have skill. They're this is a really complete roster if Olivier Sarr is eligible.
You know what that means?
What?
We're gonna get to hear John Calipari say the phrase "positionless basketball" so frequently.
I love it. I'm thrilled.
Who's the SEC coach that did that? Who likes he marks all his players down by A, B, or C or something like that? I think it was Frank Martin.
That possible.
Yeah.
I think
they really take positionless to a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, positionless basketball is kind of, BJ Boston and Terrence Clark, they're both, like you said, 6'7", but Terrence Clark's more of a 2. BJ Boston's more of a 3, but they're going to play the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've also heard that.
Right?
I've heard that they're both working out as potential small ball forwards as well, out in their workouts out in LA. Darren Collison, who, Zach, very well for, just him being a brilliant basketball IQ guy, NBA veteran, been in the league for 10, 15 years. I mean, he's a true NBA veteran. he's, kind of teaching them, dude, you're going to find yourself in mismatches every once in a while. You're going to find yourself down low. Can you finish in the post? You got to be able to finish in the post. And both of them have been working on that. I've heard Terrence Clark has an NBA ready body right now. That was a thing. He's one of those kind of barrel chested, big, thick, strong basketball players. So potentially you could see a 1 through 4 out of both of them. I mean, that yeah. You're talking about positionless. It's not just you're able to play the 2 and the 3 and maybe the 1 or maybe the 4. Like, this is true 1 through 4 potential. I mean, this is positionless. Coach Cal will 100% be able to say positionless over and over again this year. You're exactly right, Maggie.
I think Terrence Clark point guard is something.
I love those words.
Yeah.
All right, let's stick with basketball, but move over to the NBA. We saw a little bit of news with that come out today that we can talk about briefly just in terms of like the bubble. But we're going to try not to be dark and gloomy and pessimistic today because we're in the mood to be happy, right? So then we're going to get into a little bit of discussion, some debate over who we think could bring the trophy home. Zach, I'll start with you. What did you think of today's news in terms of what's going on with Denver and just sort of the prospect of the NBA happening again?
Well, I tweeted Jack when all the news broke about the Denver thing, where Denver shut down their training facilities. I think that's exactly what happened, right, Jack? That's what they. Yeah. So that immediately I said that was not good, but Jack made the point that Brooklyn opened up theirs. So it's literally just going to be back and forth like this for the next month. Like, I don't think we're going to have any decision. So that being said, let's assume that we do end up having this tournament and all that in the 8-game stretch. If we're picking a champion, I'm going to go with the Clippers, who was my team from the very beginning, especially because they're not missing anyone. They're not having anyone stay out or anything like that. And I think they're probably the team that's most adept at dealing with a 3-month hiatus because they have players that can just, like Kawhi is literally like, we joke that he's a robot, but he kind of is. And I mean, LeBron obviously and AD having all that time off will definitely help. But I just think in general, like even with Giannis and the Bucks, like I think the time off it'll help in terms of rest, but I think you're going to be seeing some really shitty basketball sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest takeaway why the Clippers are, for instance, seen as kind of the growing favorite through all this, because you have the Los Angeles Lakers of the world who are star-studded at the top. But when you get down to that 7, 8, 9 player on the roster, what happens if there's a coronavirus breakout or like we said before the show, what if Anthony Davis somehow gets it, or a LeBron, or if you get one of their top guys out, what else do they have? You look at the Clippers, and they're one of the arguably the deepest team in the NBA, and that's why you look at I'm a diehard Boston Celtics fan. I've said this on the show plenty of times, and I'm going to continue to do so. But they are considered up there with the Clippers as one of the deepest teams in the NBA. I would trust that 8, 9, 10 guy to come in and be a legitimate difference maker in the game if it gets to that point. Now, I think the Jason Tatums of the world, Kemba Walker, I think it's going to be fine. In retrospect, I'm hoping that at least. But if it gets to the point where we're relying on some of the replacement guys, or just the top end guys missing out, and you're relying on the bench to thrive, I'm going to take the teams with the deepest benches right now, and I'm looking at the Clippers and the Celtics as 2 of the 3, 4, 5 teams that have a deep enough bench to sustain any adversity that comes with any mishaps down there.
What about like a sleeper team?
Because literally one positive test changes the entire outcome. And you brought up like, what if LeBron gets it? I think if LeBron gets it, it's over. Like, don't you think?
It's shutting down the second LeBron gets it.
There's no way. There's no way the Lakers would continue without him. There's no way the NBA would be like, oh, sweet, our most profitable player is out. Let's keep pushing this. There's no way the other players are going to be like, oh, this guy that we all look up to is having to sit out. Why am I putting myself in danger? So, I mean, I think the Lakers are going to look good, but things could change so fast for them that it doesn't make me feel confident about their team or this whole situation in general if anyone on that roster, especially those 2 or 3 guys at the top, get a positive test.
The timing is really interesting to me because I think they said if they're kind of anticipating, okay, maybe there is, 1 player, 2 players, a couple players, they didn't say one test will completely rule everything out. They said It would have to be a legitimate breakout down in the bubble that would cause the bubble to burst. But I completely lost my train of thought.
Well, my thing is like if LeBron and Giannis, those are my two guys. If one of those two guys gets it, they're going to shut it down. I don't think. I mean, like if James Harden gets there something, that might have got you back on track there.
Yeah, I was just thinking, the timing of it is really interesting to me because if a guy is out, what would he have to go into his own little personal, quarantine for 14 days or so? Would the timing? But what if this happens very early on? One of them gets it, and they'd be able to sit out, and it'd be like a severe ankle injury, sprained ankle or something at the end of the regular season, and then come back.
It's literally like load management.
That's what I'm kind of saying.
The more rest after all this rest.
Yeah, but it's more so returning to health and quarantining and getting him away. And what if this happens early? They get quarantined, and would they be able to return back? And would that kind of save things? Could they, one person get it and then they quarantine and if they come back and everything's all well and good, no more coronavirus positive tests,
there's going to get
good from there.
They'll get to a point of no return, I think. Like if they get to the finals and then like let's say it's like Lakers Bucks in the finals and LeBron gets the coronavirus right before the finals, like they'll probably still go through with it because at that point you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. See, so I'm really
a case by case thing, just day by day. Yeah. That's really how we're going to take it. Even when it's down in Orlando, when they do, I ultimately think they do get down there. But like I said last time, I think it gets canceled still. But when they are down there, now I forget what I was saying, Jack.
But I think you look at the TBT, the basketball tournament. They're starting this weekend.
Yeah, that'll be.
And I think that's going to be something. I think that's something that we need to keep a close eye on because they're not quarantining in a physical bubble, a resort in Disney World, but they're staying in a hotel, like their own little living quarters.
Their mini bubble.
Hotel. Yeah, it's like their own little mini bubble. So if they're able to make it work, I think their tournament is expected to last 2 weeks, I think, Zach, is that right?
Yeah, it's literally 14 days, I think.
14 days. So if they're able to make that work with everything, everybody quarantined and all that with the ins and outs, they've been kind of highlighting, here's the process, here's what the players are going to go through. They're trying to promote this as much as they can to say, look, we got this thing figured out. Just trust us on this. We'll see. Because I think if we see a huge outbreak with them or something goes south with them, I think that's going to cause the whole basketball world to go, ooh, like this.
And they're in Columbus too.
Might not. Yeah.
The Columbus and Florida and Orlando difference, in terms of the actual coronavirus. So if it's happening in Columbus and then they get up there, they're gonna be like, shit. Well, it's probably gonna happen in Florida.
Yeah. Totally agree.
We'll see.
A quick plug for my girl Rachel Nichols because The Jump is doing something so cool right now. I don't know if you all have seen this, but like when you're watching a TV show and they show you like what you missed last week, it's like a previously on. They're doing that with all the NBA teams, like to get everyone caught up before these games eventually start back up again. And they've been doing a really good job of showing like some of the game highlights, some of the drama, some of like the team pettiness and all that good stuff. I think they've just done like 2 or 3 teams so far, but I think that will be required reading for any NBA fan before this all hopefully gets going.
Did you work at ESPN or something? My girl Rachel Nichols wearing the ESPN sweatshirt. Like, is this just like a shameless plug of, I was a former ESPN intern?
Does it say former ESPN intern in your Twitter bio?
Yeah, I'm so glad you all brought that up. I actually never talk about it. Like, I never bring it up. I don't even think you all knew I lived in Los Angeles for the summer, worked for ESPN. Like, it's crazy. I never talk about it.
Wait, weren't you even in like a Sports Center commercial with Damian Lillard or something of that substance?
I totally forgot. Yeah, see, it just totally slipped my mind. Yeah, I was. That was me.
Just saying.
All right, what else do we have? What's next on our topic list, guys?
Let me talk about some Ryan Howard stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They're Ryan Howard's team, but I like to, I should address them by Kentucky basketball.
This is not the University of Ryan Howard. This is
not yet.
Kentucky Hoops.
It is. Once give it a year, they'll have a statue up front. It won't be long. But anywho, I'll talk about this team for just a couple minutes here, and obviously jump in if you like. But a lot of them is going to depend on transfer eligibility because they've got three key players, a center and then a point guard and a shooter. So depending on if they can play immediately, Kentucky's looking at a top 5 preseason ranking if they can all come in and play, because Ryan Howard's probably she will start the season as the SEC or NCAA preseason player of the year. And they're going to go pretty deep with their forwards position as well, even after a transfer announced yesterday. Deasia Merrill's announced that she's transferring away. But they've got Kiki McKinney, Tatiana Wyatt up front. Those are two. They'll be seniors now. They'll probably have one of the longer. They're not going to be tall, but they're going to be long. They're probably going to start 4 players over 6'1", which in women's basketball is kind of crazy. They'll have a senior point guard, Chassie Patterson, who came in halfway through the year and still ended up winning SEC 6 Woman of the Year last year.
She's great.
She is amazing. She's probably the one player that needs to really grind down this summer, and she has a knack for scoring, but kind of the actual feel for the game kind of misses her a little bit. So I know you could just even tell during the game that Ryan Howard would sometimes get a little bit annoyed with some of that stuff, but she's the GOAT. She's the one that's going to lead the team. And even if those transfers don't become immediately eligible, Kentucky's still looking at a top 20 ranking the entire year.
Now, we kind of have a good feel on, or we think we have a good feel on the Olivier Sarr waiver process and, their argument for eligibility. What, the two big ones, the SEC transfers, that's kind of the two people that everybody's kind of keeping a close eye on. Where do you think things stand with that? And do you think they have a solid case for themselves, or do you think that, what is your stance?
I think they came to UK not really expecting to get those waivers. I mean, I'm sure they're going to apply for them if they haven't already, but they weren't in any situation with like Olivier Sarr, or like even most transfers. Like with Jasmine Massengill, who went from Tennessee, her thing was just like, Tennessee didn't fire a coach, nothing like that happened or anything. She just wanted to go play with Ryan and the incoming recruit Treasure Hunt, who's also, I should have mentioned her. She's literally Ryan Howard light. So that'll be awesome. But her, Treasure Hunt, Ryan Howard, and Jasmine Massengill all grew up together in Tennessee and played basketball together. So her case is she wanted to be with her friends. So that one's probably not going to happen.
Zack also wrote a really good article about that. Shameless plug. I recommend it. About those 3 girls.
Who did? Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Zack Gagan.
Yeah. But then the other two, so Robin Benton is the Auburn transfer. I'm not entirely sure her situation, but I mean, she's going to be a rising junior as well. Like, they didn't fire a coach. I know Auburn did have kind of like a mass exodus of players. So, and I know she was coupled into that. So I don't know what the inner workings of all that was. Maybe it might be a little bit different, but she's the shooter. She's the one that can come in and shoot like 38% from 3 right away. Then the other girl is Olivia Owens. She's a 6'4" center from Maryland. Who transferred. I literally know nothing about her. Her transfer was a shock to me. I mean, it's kind of hard to get some of the inroads on all the UK hoops scoop, but that was something that just kind of popped up. But she's a 6'4" center. If she can play, she was a very highly coveted recruit back in the day. So the Jasmine Massengill thing probably won't happen. The other two, I'd say the jury's kind of still out, but I think they all 3 came to Kentucky not expecting to play immediately.
My thing is, I've said this on my show a whole bunch, that the NCAA, they're already planning on passing this transfer rule for the 2021-2022 season.
We remember your weed metaphor from last week.
Yeah.
But I guess so. But I just think, as of right now, the NCAA, they're not going out of their way to decline these waivers unless it's just something absolutely ridiculous, like maybe I want to play with my friend or something. That would be like really ridiculous. But I'm just thinking, if you're gonna pass these dudes next year, guys and girls next year anyway, what's the harm in just saying, what, screw it, let's just get it over with now, and maybe exempt them from the one-time waiver next year. Say, okay, well, we approved your waiver last year, knowing that this was the one-time transfer rule, so you're not really, we approved it with this new rule change in mind to kind of counter that might be something that they add in the ruling or whatever. But I just think the NCAA has no reason to not approve anybody at this point. If they're going to implement this rule next year, there's no reason that they can't just say, screw it, let's approve as many people as we can right now.
And I don't know the whole inner workings of the Jasmine Massengill thing, but from the outside, it appears that she just kind of wants to go and hang out and play with her friends, which, that's fine. And that would be the instance, like next year, they would just let her do that. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't matter what if she wanted to go play with her friends, they would let her do it. So it is kind of stupid. And I feel like that's why a lot of players are transferring right now, because I feel like they probably can get away with, like, they have a better chance of getting these waivers just because, 2 years ago, there's no way Jasmine Massengill would even be considered for this immediate transfer. So the circumstances are just different all around. And I know the coronavirus has kind of delayed all those talks and stuff even still, but I think right now we got maybe Robin Benton might get it, but otherwise I wouldn't really expect him. I would expect kind of the team that they had last year, just with a better version of everyone, really. They didn't lose. I mean, they lost a bunch of seniors, but most of them in the backcourt, and they'll be able to replace it for a good bit. So they should be all right.
All right, we just have a couple more minutes here. Boss Man wants to take over the Zoom account for us, which is fine. We've been chit-chatting for a while. Anyone have any closing remarks? Do we want to do my game real quick?
Let's do your game. You were looking forward to it. Let's do it.
I don't know what this is, but let's do it.
Okay, my game is called Pit and Peak. Okay, so all you have to do is say the pit of your last couple days and the peak of your last couple days. So start with the pit, and then we can end on our high note with all of our peaks. I'll go first so you all can get the vibe. My pit is dropping this thing. It's a paperweight, and it's like probably the heaviest thing I own in my entire house onto my foot like 2 days ago. And that was a big pit because it really hurt, and now my foot is bruised and I'm limping around, and it's sad. That's my pit. I would say my peak is finding out that our girl, Laura Rutledge and Mina Kimes are going to be on the Monday Night Football, or not Monday Night Football, NFL Live.
They're on Monday Night Football?
I wish they were on Monday Night Football. No, they're on NFL Live. I'm so excited to see them every week, and I'll definitely be tuned in. I know we all probably will be, but those two women especially I am so obsessed with. I think they do awesome jobs. They're very smart, intelligent, and charismatic, and I think they're going to do a really nice job there, and I was excited to see that news this morning.
I was as well. I'm a big fan of both of them. Maggie, you are well aware of this. I think that the top three trio right now, Katie Nolan is added to those two. I mean, those are my girls.
The trio was those two and me, but it's okay. I'll put Katie there.
Trio equals three, but three being those three. But you get my point. All right. So I would say that was one of my peaks, but I wouldn't go that far. I'd say I'll go with a negative first. So I'm, as you guys know from last week's show, I'm planning on this honeymoon starting on Sunday to Jamaica, and we are learning this week that Jamaica, they're super strict on COVID stuff. They are not messing around with it. And if you test positive going into the country, you are put in a 14-day quarantine at one of their government health facilities. They are not messing around. They're going to, if you have it, they are locking you away and putting you in a closet. You're screwed. So I got tested yesterday to just double check. I haven't gotten a result yet back, but so I'm hoping that is positive. But the nervousness of this trip is definitely heightened for sure. So that's definitely my pit.
You will not see that for the next 2 weeks.
And that's all right. It'll just be, I hope they have, nice cold beverages in this government health facility if it gets to that point. Maybe they at least throw me a bone with that. But I'd say my peak is I was not very optimistic about this NFL season going into it. I'm a Patriots fan, so Tom Brady left, horrifying. I'm just very sad. We signed Cam Newton this week, so I'm like, hey, maybe things aren't as horrible as I kind of initially thought. So, maybe things are looking up for me.
Nice job. Good job with the game. I approve. Zach, your pit and your peak.
Okay, so my pit is more of an ongoing situation. So I live on Euclid Avenue, right next to the Kroger.
Oh, I know where this is going.
No one come and rob me or anything. But the entire street of Euclid, all the way down to Avenue of Champions, they've been doing construction. I'm not sure what they're doing, but they've been drilling straight into the ground. And I live in a basement apartment. So 8 a.m. sharp till about, they usually stop around 4 or 5. All I hear is just banging all day long. So that's my pit. My peak was I got a dog.
And he looks so
Wow,
cute.
there you go.
Boy, and what's her name? / his name.
His name is Luca.
Nice.
Because I like basketball. Actually, the guy I'm gonna live with, it's technically his dog, but we're gonna be living together, so I have the luxury
Joint
of having
custody.
a dog, but without the responsibility of having to deal with it.
So you're like the dog's like stepdad.
Deadbeat dad.
That is a terrible way to think about it because I'm not gonna beat it. But sorry, that was dark.
And on that super happy, awesome, fulfilling note, I think we should wrap it up. Thanks for watching another episode of The Macks. We're going to go with that. All right. You guys have anything else to say?
Nope.
Good.
Okay. That's it for us. Have a good one.